fumble, and he was very strong, and he would pin you up against somewhere, quick fumble, hand up the skirt, and that was it. So it would be, he would grab any opportunity to do it. So other times it would be in the corridor again. If there was an alcove, he'd just push you into the alcove, quick fumble, and then carry on as normal.
So the first time something happened to you in his dressing room, did he know how old you were?
The first question he ever asked me was how old I was. So he knew.
And you told him you were 15 years old?
Yeah.
Now, between the ages of 15 and 16, how many times would you say that he indecently assaulted you?
Gosh, dozens probably.
At the time, Saville would travel round the country in a caravan come motorhome.
All right, darlings.
This eccentric aspect of his lifestyle became well known through coverage such as his 1971 edition of BBC's Nationwide programme. When in London, he would park the vehicle at King's Cross. Val says she was regularly invited to visit him there. 40 years on, she claims memories of losing her virginity to him there are filled with pain.
When I was 16, he then, again, one of these fumbles then turned into sex, full sex, which I didn't realise. That's what was happening. It sounds really stupid, I didn't realise. Again, naive girl. And he promised me he wasn't going all the way, but he did. And there was no foreplay, no romance, no taking off clothes. So it was, I'm sure it's why he always wore his shell suits, because he could just whip his elastic shell suit bottoms down very quickly. And that's what it was. It was just a quick act of sex. There was nothing else you'd call it, really.
So you were 16, you were in the back of this caravan, he was touching you. There comes a point where you say to him, you're not going the whole way. What was his response to that?
He just said, no, of course not, no, and carried on.
And what did you think?
I don't remember. I remember it being a struggle with me trying to push him off, and him again pinning me down with his body weight, and then the deed was over.
And he's using quite a bit of force on you at this stage, and you're saying no. If you had to sum that up, would you sum it up in any way?
As a mature woman now, I look back and I think I was actually raped on that first occasion, because I definitely didn't know we were going to have full sex, and I definitely said to him, you're not going to go all the way. So looking back, I think, oh my God, he actually raped me. I was very young and he was in his 40s. And I think he was always a very charismatic man and quite a powerful personality. And I think as young girls we got caught up in that whole experience at the time, sort of almost living the life with a celebrity, because, you know, if you're with him you had access to places and you met famous people, and he was a very charismatic person to be around. Like, that just sort of went along with it, really. I never thought, it was only when I was much older I looked back and got more distressed by it as I got older.
Around this period, Angie was part of the same group that used to hang around Saville, and says she too was having a sexual relationship with him. Today, she's a woman in her 50s. In 1968, when she says she met Saville, she was a naive 15-year-old girl. Angie says this is her with Saville during their first meeting outside the offices of Radio Luxembourg. Her image has been disguised to protect her identity. Just weeks later, according to Angie, she lost her virginity to the man more than 25 years her senior.
It was in a London hotel. He invited me to come round. When I got there, it was a bit of chit-chat first of all. Before I knew it, he had me on the bed and he was having sex with me.
So you were 15 years old?
I was.
And he was having full sexual intercourse with you?
Correct.
Did he kiss you? Did he touch you anywhere else?
No, Jim didn't do kissing. He didn't do emotion or foreplay or anything. It was just basically what he wanted, in and out, and that was it. And afterwards it was as though nothing had happened.
And did he wear a condom?
No, never. never.
So there was no preparation to it? And
No.
Were you aware that he was going to have sex with you?
No, it was a complete shock to me. I was very naive. I had no idea what was happening. And in the light of day, he was a middle-aged man. He was in his early 40s. Well, he shouldn't be doing that to 15-year-olds. And actually, I'm quite angry, and it's quite repulsive what he did to me and other girls.
But back in 1968, Angie says she was swept away by the glamour of knowing one of the hottest showbiz personalities in Britain, and together with other favoured teenagers, having access to the BBC and Top of the Pops. She says at just 15, she was having full sex with Saville in BBC dressing rooms.
It happened on a number of occasions. On those occasions, there was no one else in the dressing room except for him and I, and there was like a little sort of couch, and he would have me lie down on it and just do the sex act really, really quickly, obviously before anyone else came into the dressing room. But it was very, very quick, very unemotional, and that was it. And that happened on a number of occasions, as well as the sort of pinning up on the wall and so on. But being a teenager, not understanding things, you do blame yourself, and there's just so many mixed emotions with this. But I've always been with full regret that it happened, and I wasn't able to do anything about it, and I didn't understand it either. I just feel that he just took huge advantages of me.
Angie says Saville was at times menacing and controlling. In 1974, he gave her his autobiography, writing inside, "No escape," and signing it, "Her keeper." Both Angie and Val say their sexual relationships with Saville stopped when they reached their early 20s. But the legacy of Saville, seen here in Angie's private photos, remains with them still. Both say they contracted a sexually transmitted disease from him. They say they were too scared to speak out before now because they were afraid of him while he was alive.
There was always an air of, I don't know what you'd call it, not exactly menace, but there was always that air that he had power and that he had contacts and you wouldn't want to mess with him. So I would never have come out openly about it before.
Val and Angie say they were first invited into Saville's dressing room at Top of the Pops in the late 60s. 10 years later, 14-year-old singer Colleen Nolan had her own unpleasant experience with Saville on the show. She revealed what happened in a 2003 BBC documentary.
I stood next to Jimmy Saville, and I was 14, and he was all over me.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are more Nolans than meet the eye.
You know, it's a bit like, ooh, I don't think I like it.
This is a Nolan here. This is not old enough. It's a joke.
But it's funny because then you know it's family, because I could see my sisters glaring at him like, you touch her and we'll kill you, and they would have.
There is no suggestion Colleen was ever assaulted by Saville, but it is clear from the interview that she felt uncomfortable and that his behaviour towards her was inappropriate. At this stage of my investigation, I've met 3 witnesses who say they saw Saville with young girls. And I've met 2 women who say they were victims of sex assaults at the hands of Saville while still 15-year-old schoolgirls. But there was more to come.